Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Now in this one, we're going to talk about controlling this cue effectively. So I'm going to talk about all of the technical things that I think about to help me to deliver this cue in a straight line. Now that needs to be on topspin shots, stun shots, and even screw shots when we're using more power. Now I've also talked about this in other videos that we have to get to the point where these things are happening naturally. You can't possibly be playing good snooker and think about all of the 10 or 15 technical things that I'm going to discuss in this video. But obviously at first, we have to even be aware that these things exist so that we can learn to do things in the correct way. Then what I'm hoping is that when I split my practice up into playing these straight shots, working on getting these technical things right, it then means that when I come to playing a game, I can start to focus purely on then just controlling the cue ball, and hopefully all of those technical things have just been ingrained and they're happening naturally. So on this first shot here, I'm playing topspin. So first of all in this video, we're going to look at Preshot routine. So we're going to look at the importance of forming good habits here. So you see that straight away I'm chalking my cue behind the shot, and then I'm standing up behind the shot. Now what I'm looking at here to get the shot line is obviously I'm standing behind the white, but then my eyes are looking down at the red ball over here. That helps me to stand right behind the line of the shot. Now, this pre-shot routine, again, incredibly important because you're building in really good habits. So the first thing I'm doing is chalking my cue. This is also when players have a bit of a think. So when I'm chalking my cue like this, chalking my cue, standing behind the shot, and then this is the point that I'm deciding, am I playing stun, top, am I playing a screw shot, how hard do I need to hit the shot, and I'm visualising the shot that I'm about to play. So all of these things are done in the standing position. Now, another key important thing here, you can see that when I'm standing up behind the shot and I'm almost ready to play it, look how relaxed my hand is here. The cue is almost just resting on my hand, nice and relaxed, and that's the same as my hand here as well that I'm holding the cue with. No tension in both of my hands. I'm just saying to myself, even before the shot, nice and relaxed, no tension anywhere in the body. Then we'll see that when I go into the shots, I know I'm playing topspin, I'm down into the shot, and then I'm starting to do my feathers up to the shot. So let's just have a quick look. If I just pause with my tip at the white. So as I've talked about in other videos, you're trying to look for a number of things here, but my cue arm at the back is nice and vertical. It's not too far back over here or not too far forward. The importance of that is it's then giving me enough room so that when I do my delivery, I can deliver my hand into my chest here like that. This neutral point also allows me to be able to pull the cue right the way back, so it allows me to do my backswing, and then, as I say, go into my chest like that. So you can see, let's have a look at another thing here. Bridge length, you can see my tip is very close to the cue ball. So when I'm doing my feathers, I'm preparing for the shot, my tip is very, very close so that I'm practicing exactly where I'm about to hit. You can then also see my bridge length. A reasonable guide for players here is if you were to pick up someone's hand like that, it should fit in that gap again. So in this gap here, so this gap, the length of my hand should fit in that gap. And I would say that basically is correct for mine there. It's about the right distance. That then gives me enough distance that I can then pull the cue all the way back if I need to. So I can pull the cue right the way back to my V and then go through the cue ball and complete my shot. So on shots that require a bit of timing and some power, you're then in a position to pull the cue right the way back and deliver all the way to the chest. So if we just rewind a second, let's just have a look at me getting down into this shot. Now you'll see that as I go into the shot, so even here, my cue is now on the line of the shot. So I've brought my grip hand. So if we look here, I've brought my grip hand onto the line of the shot already. And you can see here, I'm starting now to form my bridge hand already. So you can see before my hand even hits the table, this bridge is being formed so that the cue can rest on that bridge hand. So again, something that's incredibly important here as I go in, when your hand hits the table, so you can see my hand has now just hit the table here, my hand will then slide forward and onto the line of aim. So very, very important that you slide forward, because that bit of a slide, so that when my hand hit the table, that slide forward just allows you to make sure you're fine-tuning the alignment, and you're going to be absolutely perfect when you get onto the line of aim. You will also see that I've done no feathers until I'm happy that I'm into position, and then I can start my feathers for the shot. So if we just rewind, if I go to about the zoom there. So yeah, if I go into the shot, you'll see I slide in, no feathers, and then I'll start my feathers once I'm happy. And then the next thing to look at is the pause that almost all players have got in common. So the big one you'll see amongst all professional players is the pause at the cue ball after you've done your feathers. So if I rewind a second there, so I'm feathering up, then I stop, pull the cue back, and then play the shot. So that pause at the white, very, very important, because it signifies the end of the practice and then the beginning part of the delivery starting to happen. So I like to do my feathers. The feathers are there for me to get a feel for the shot, to check that my cue is on line, and then once I'm happy, I can pause at the white and pull my cue right the way back. So then if we look now, so we do the pause at the white, and then you can see the way the cue comes all the way back to the V. And let's have a look at my back arm here. So there's two technical things that we want to look at. So let's go back to when my tip is at the white. So my tip's at the white there. Now, one of the things that you do as a player, can you see the tip of my elbow here? So that will relax down on my backswing. So you can see my arm dropping, dropping, dropping. And what that's doing is it's helping my cue to stay nice and flat. So it's helping my cue stay flat to the bed of the table. What I don't want is when I do my backswing, the cue to be doing this kind of movement where it's going up and down. The other thing that's incredibly important is my grip has relaxed. It's helped the cue to stay flat by the fingers opening up. And then the other thing I want to look at is just the angle of my wrist here. So can you see the way my wrist is at that kind of angle, isn't it? Like that. Some players let the wrist really relax so that it just almost goes in one straight line. Oops. So if I just go back to there. So some players let the wrist relax so that it just goes in one straight line. So they'd almost let the angle of the wrist open up as well on the way back. Some players don't. I think Ronnie O'Sullivan does it the same as I'm doing it, where he has that bit of an angle that you can see in the wrist. But the important things are that you're letting the grip relax nicely and relaxing the elbow so that you can keep the cue nice and flat. So you see that when my tip is at the white, so if I draw a line on the cue, you'll see that that's the line of my cue, isn't it there? And then when the cue comes back, you see the way I've managed to keep the cue very, very flat. So it hasn't gone from there and then up in the air. It's stayed almost perfectly on that line, so staying nice and flat. So now let's have a look. So if we play this in half speed, so the cue comes back, this is at half speed now. Cue comes back, and then right the way through the shot. Now, the really important things there again are the beginning bit of the delivery. So if we watch my hand start to move forward at the back here, the beginning bit of the delivery will happen slowly. So you see my hand starting to move, and then it builds up speed, getting faster and faster until my hand is at my chest. So that's very important, that smooth build-up. Really helps to keep the cue on line. So if we watch one of those there again, so let's do it in full speed. The cue comes back, and then right the way through it. And I'm trying to follow the white into the pocket there. And the final thing here to look at, which is incredibly important, is how the grip actually behaves when I play the shot. So when I come back, the grip relaxes and opens up. And when my grip is in this position here, you'll feel a lot of the pressure on the front part of my hand here. So that's where I can feel the contact on my hand when I'm at the end of the backswing. When I then deliver, the cue comes back to neutral, and then the pressure moves to the back of the hand. So you can see that if you were to look at my grip hand here, you can see that the first finger has come off the cue, it's relaxed a little bit, and that's because the pressure had moved to the back of my hand, so it's gone from the front to the back of the hand, so that's helping keep the cue nice and flat again. So very, very important to try and get all those technical things correct. Now, if we now watch this whole shot in half speed, you'll see that this is my pre-shot routine. Chalk the cue, make sure you've got a plan for the shot. I know I'm playing topspin, decide on the power, very relaxed with the hands relaxed around the cue, slide forward into the shot game, the tip to the white, then you start your feathers to get a feel for it to make sure everything feels good and looks good. Pull the cue right the way back, keeping the cue flat, and then go right the way forward, transferring the weight of the cue into the back part of the hand, and keep the head incredibly still until you see that the outcome of the shot is successful. So that was the only last thing to look at. If you watch my head as I play this shot, so if I draw a line where the top of my head is like that, so yeah, if I keep still now, you see going through, and the head doesn't move at all until I see the successful outcome of the shot, and then I'll move up off the shot. So then, we've just got to remember the importance now of practicing these things so that they can be happening naturally. It is not possible for us as players to think of these 10 or 15 technical things and then try to be in a game and play shots and control the white and make sure you're looking at the potting angle. Far too much for the mind to process all in one go. So that's why, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, I'm practicing those things and working on technical things separately when I can just focus on the mechanics of my cue action, and then hopefully I'm ingraining those good habits so that when I come to a game, I've already got a lot of them happening naturally without me having to think about it. As always, remember to give the video a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, that just really helps me to keep all this content coming regularly. And if anyone's interested in any personal one-to-one training sessions, I'm working on this very table, helping players to improve their game all the time. So I'm teaching people all about the cue action, just like we've seen in this video here, learning key shots, shot selection, break building, all of that's included in my session. So if that is something you'd be interested in, please have a look at my details in the description below, and I'd love to help you with your game. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.